Whoa, whoa. I should really start. Oh, hold on. I should really start every stream with like a R. Kelly song. I definitely got to do that. Like back in 2022, I used to open up with a song of some sort. Apparently, this is trending on Twitter right now. I can't believe this picked up stream. Or what's it pick up this picked up steam. Pyro said Ninja was messing up my anime time. Oh man. Oh yeah, by the way, with the Corey Holcomb interview with the Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, um, I might have to just press pause on that only because I think it's the point tends to be a little bit redundant at times. I don't want to just be like um a channel where I'm just reposting Corey Holcomb content. You know what I mean? So I gotta chill. I gotta check myself on that. Right. I gotta go back to making original content. And that starts with me going back to reacting to the nonsensical things that I run across. So I ran across this today. Like this is hilarious. So if you take a look at this post, it says how your girlfriend looks at you when you ask her to block the guy who R-worded her in 2019. So this is some interesting stuff because usually a caption, it would use like a caption, the caption for a picture like this, it would usually say how your female friend looks at you when you tell her to block the guy that you say is harassing her on social media. And now, but it looks like somebody took it to another level and he brought up a scenario where where he's saying that he has a girlfriend and he told her maybe you should block the guy that you said took advantage of you. And women have responded to this and they're defending this. It's very interesting stuff. This is why in 2023 and also late 2022, I told you guys, if you guys have the chance, if you have a Netflix, please watch 13 Reasons Why. And watch 13 Reasons Why with a RP lens, if that makes sense, with a red pill lens. And watch it. And you'll see that the so-called victim, Hannah Baker, she's not a victim. And it was actually really one of the worst written shows, in my opinion. Even though it was a rework of a book. But this shit where you'll have a hoe talk about this is what this dude did to me in high school, and this is what this dude took advantage of me, and then you'll be like, okay, but you're still in contact with him. You still hang around him, like what's going on with this situation? What's going on? So I've been talking about these kind of things for a minute. These are the things that a lot of young men are going through, and what a lot of young men have to understand is this could be easily explained. She didn't get raped by the guy that she said she did. Now, if I told you guys, if she's not saying a family member did this to her, then she's probably lying in the year 2026. Unfortunately, this is not like how back in the day where, a woman will open up to you and say, "Oh, yo, this happened to me when I was a kid." I never really told anybody, but I'm telling you this. This is, and then you would believe them. This is not like this is not back in the day. This is not early 2000s. This is not, 20, early 2010s, before Snapchat, right? This isn't before Snapchat. Post Snapchat. Or how about this? Post Instagram. Definitely post Instagram. If a broad is saying that, oh, I got raped by my boyfriend or something like that, I got raped by my ex, she's probably lying. And it's unfortunate that we're at that situation, but that's what it is. No grown woman is keeping in contact with her rapist. That's not how life works. But apparently there's a lot of men that are in relationships and they have to literally tell her the woman that they're with, why did you like why are you still messaging your rapist? like people are just shocked that this is a conversation in 2026, and I'm like, that's the reason why is because she didn't get raped. That's just she's lying. She's lying about that, you know. But there's a lot of young men, they gotta they just gotta unfortunately they just gotta go through it. And yes, it's wild, but this is why I've stayed on this subject. A lot of men don't want to talk about this subject, you know, because there are some people that have been like, yo, Chris, you talk about this a little bit too much. And I'm like, well, in the future, and you're seeing it now with Gen Z women, once these hoes start getting caught with their past, or they get caught being a hoe, or they start to settle down, and then the men do the investigations on them, and then they find out that they was out here wilding. Their fallback plan is just to say that they got taken advantage of, so that's why I have to address this. It's gonna be a whole bunch of dudes with girls talking. I'm talking about, it's gonna be most dudes. I remember I told you this. I said it's gonna be a time. I told you guys this. I said there's going to be a time around 2026, specifically starting 2026, after the World Cup. It's gonna be most dudes saying that my girl got raped at one point. And it's gonna be like, damn, it's like every dude I know said that their girl got like, so that's not a normal situation. That is not a normal occurrence for where most girls are just getting out here getting raped. In the United States, that's not happening. No, that's not happening. But I told you this is gonna be the norm very soon. So now it's so crazy now where you'll have a girl say, "Oh, this guy raped me," or "My boyfriend raped me," or "My ex raped me," but they're still in contact with them, and they're going to defend being in contact with them, even though you told everybody that he took advantage of you. I told you this day was gonna come, and now you have dudes saying like, "Yeah, this happened to me." You got dudes all up in the mention say, "Yeah, this happened to me. I told you this day was coming, guys. This is why I harped on this." And it's like if you go on Twitter, you see people. It's a whole bunch of young men saying like, "I'm actually going through this right now," and it's wild. It is wild, but I told you this day was coming. And I'm talking about right on time too. The World Cup is about to start. Right on time. Told you 2026 is going to be a very pivotal year. Very pivotal. It's not even going to be, because people always, they always say it's always election year when people say this is going to be a very pivotal. This is going to be the election that changes everything. I said, nah, post World Cup 2026, or just really the year 2026 in general, is going to be a very interesting year. Because now Gen Z, older Gen Z, are at that settling age, whether they're in their late 20s, in their early 30s. Gen Z is going to be turning 30. Older Gen Z women are going to be in their late 20s, and the pivot, you're going to see the great pivot like no other. You're seeing more content now. You got Oprah now saying that women need to chill out, they need to settle. They need to stop on this feminism bullish. 2026 is the year, bro. 2026 is the year. Let me look at some of the replies though. Let me look at some of the replies. Yeah, if somebody said in the comments, angry woman in the comments saying, "Leave my grapist alone." This I told you this is gonna happen. He says what a lot of them will tell you is that they dated him after or effed him after the grape, right? They return to his house for bi-weekly grape session. I told you this is gonna happen. I told you. Somebody said this is 9/11 for libfoids. They have no response to this. So somebody said, I know someone like that. He says, we all do. Mind you, same here. This is why you have to make sure. I always say this: if you are a man, if you're getting older in age, if you're getting in your late 30s, your late 40s, or you're just getting older in general, you need to make sure you still keep your ears tapped to what the young people are saying, what younger women or what younger men are going through, so you can keep a close tab on what's going on, so you're not out of touch. You know, you always got to make sure you're not out of touch. And I've heard young men talk about this. I've heard them, and you're just like, you just I don't have the 50 cent meme face, but you'll 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 listen to these people talk about these things, and you're just like, what the I was in Harlem the other day. I was in Harlem the other day. You should hear how these young women be talking. I'm talking about teenagers. You should hear how they be talking. What I'm talking about was a whole group of girls walking right past them. They couldn't be no more than what, like 16, maybe 17 years old. I'd be surprised if they're over 19. I'd be surprised, but they could not be no more. They look like they was in high school. They were sitting there talking ish. They were all talking about their ex and their boyfriend, how their older boyfriend was playing them, and oh, that's why I effed another ninja. You thought you was just gonna pull a fast one on me. I just go fuck. And I'm like they're in high school. They're not older than high school chicks. But the way I'm talking about talking reckless, and I'm just like, damn, you know. So this is the norm. This is the norm. And when it comes to like dirty talking or people talking about sex out loud in public, it's always the women. It's always the women. They'll literally be on a bus. They'll be on a bus and they'll just talk about it out loud like nobody has uh like basically like no one else is there, but just they'll just be talking. And if you don't have your headphones, you're gonna hear everything. This is one lady at my job, my one of my part times, and every time on her break, she is so loud with her friends. I'm talking about she's just talking, just her talking. The volume of her voice fills the building. So anytime I have like a lunch break or something, I gotta stay like miles away from her, right? Because she's just so loud. Now she's speaking in Spanish, right? The whole time. She can speak English, but she's that's her native language. She's speaking Spanish, but she's just so loud. But I understand a couple of things that she's saying in Spanish. Just pure toxic stuff about her ex, her boyfriend, and who's stalking who. Somebody's driving my car. I don't all nonsense, pure nonsense. You know, just reckless. I'm like, nobody want to hear that shit. But anyways, anywho, it says Call of Duty is Goislav. Everything went to ish after Black Ops 3. What year did that come out? Didn't that come out before I search it? Didn't that come out in 2013? 2011? 2011 or 2013 or 2014? Could be wrong. Hold on. 20 Black Ops 3 release date. When did that come out? Oh, 2015. Well, there was I always say that there was a change when I left high school. There was like it was like right when I was leaving high school, I started seeing like the real peak weirdo behavior where the libtards really started taking over, in my opinion. They were already taking over before that, obviously, but I'm talking about my senior year of high school. That's when I started seeing the furries for the first time, the open furries, right? You know, the young kids that will literally dress up as wolves and wear tails in public. Like that was my first public sighting of furries. And I remember looking at these motherfuckers like, the fuck is this? And mind you, what made it worse with those girls that were dressing up as furries, they were Native American. They were Native American. I'm like, damn. I mean, talk about, the stereotypes, typical, like the jokes, writing itself. It's like at I know I might be snitching on my high school now. People gonna know what I'm what high school I went to now. But there was like one of the furries, she bit somebody in the lunch line. Like this is like that's when I started. I'm like, whoa, what the like I was like literally like, well, time out, time out. I was like, yo, wait, hold on. What's going on? I'm missing something. When did this become a thing? So this is a different time, man. This is a different time. Okay, this is some interesting stuff. So let me share this post. Somebody said, so I'm not saying this is the same thing, but back when I was like 21 or so, and I was dating the single mother, and she was talking about how the daughter's father raped her, but then she was always like complimenting him and stuff, and it got really perplexing. Well, that's a little bit of a different situation, but what a lot of people don't understand is the single mothers that you see online, and they're talking cash money ish about what they won't accept in a guy, what a guy won't do, and he needs to match my standards. The reality is, the single mother is going to accept any man that is willing to give her some kind of money, and if it means bringing a predator into the home, they will do it. So that's the the cold, hearted reality about single moms and their lack of protecting their own daughters. You know, Cope approaches in the chat. He says Keishas are louder than me when I join panels. Yeah, Keishas are loud, but Hispanic women, bro, I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know how they get away with the nonsense. But anyways, Pyro said the Furies. Oh yeah, so the furries, those are people that literally dress up as animals in public. So they will identify as the animal that they're dressing up as in public. So they'll wear a tail, they'll wear wolf ears or fox ears, and they will act like the animal in public as well. So that's I first saw my public sighting of these things in I think 2015 or 2016. It was either 2015 or 2016, but it was my senior year of high school. I remember it was my senior year of high school and I started seeing these weirdos. And then, of course, I remember seeing, one of those white girls coming up to them, be like, "Look, I don't know what you guys are, but I don't mind you guys. You guys can do whatever you guys feel comfortable with." I'm like, this gotta be I'm like, this bitch got no instincts, no survival instincts. You don't go up to people like that, man. But anyways. Oh my God. But let me look at some of more of these tweets. Somebody said my ex kept on telling me, mind you, these are young boys in these comments. Just to let you know, these are young boys. These are this guy's apparently he's a Canadian. These are young boys. These are boys that are 17, 16, right? 15, 21, 20. These are all boys under the age of 21, maybe under the age of 23 max. So you have to really pay attention to these people. So they're telling their stories right here. And you already know this is a young boy too when his he got an anime profile picture. So that means this boy cannot be no more than 20 or 19 years old. Okay, so right here, he says, my ex kept on telling me about people stalking her on social media, and I would just say block them. And she would always try to find some reason as to why she couldn't block them. Weirdest ish ever. And I made that discovery when I was younger too, where you'd be talking to some girls and they would complain, quote unquote, complain about their stalkers. And then I'll be like, why don't you just block them? And they will literally look at you like you're the enemy for suggesting such a simple like if this bothers you, if this guy's threatening your life or whatever, like just, you can block them, you can call the police, you know. Somebody said, but she'll instantly block you if you break up with her. Yeah, that ex that she refuses to block, that means there's something there. Just to let you guys know. If there's a dude that she just refuses to block, there's something there. Trust me. There's something there. Somebody said the thing is she never was graped. That's the version she tells you, so you can put your Captain Save a Hoe cap on. This is true. These are facts, man. These are facts. Cold hearted reality. Oh, somebody look. This somebody showed a screenshot. This is what guys need to start doing this more often. Look at this screenshot right here. Guys need to do this more often. We need to start screenshotting the nonsensical text messages that we have with a lot of these women. So here he's on WhatsApp with his broad. Here the girl says he tried to grape me then around 2023, and he says, and you're still in touch with him? She replies back, he said it was a mistake. Oh, by the way, Pyro, did I send you that text message about the girl where she sent the young girl where she sent the picture of her predatory baby father? Did I send you the message? I think I sent either Pyro or Ainsley the video message because I couldn't find the screenshots of it. And she panicked because she sent the picture and she probably thought, and rightfully so, that I was going to report this guy to the police. And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I was like, nah. If you don't remember, then that means I sent it to Ainsley. That means I sent it to Ainsley. That means I didn't send it to you because you would have remembered because I remember sending. I sent it to somebody, but you would have remembered. You would have like the video because I video recorded the interaction. I didn't screenshot it. But when you see the messages in there, it's gonna blow your mind. It's literally gonna blow your mind. But I video recorded it. Henox says furries are subhuman. But yeah, there was like these broads, these little I think they were freshmen at the time. Yeah, they had to be, yeah, they were freshmen. And they were dressing up as wolves and they were Native American. It was like, I always say this. I wish I was, you know how people say that they wish they were born, you know, 40 years ago, or they were born in the past. They wish they were born in the 60s, or they were born in the 90s or 80s, whatever. Me, it's the opposite with me. If I was born 10 years later, I would be killing it in the game. I would be unstoppable. I would be unstoppable because the standards are like first of all, I would have never gotten bullied at all if I was born 10 years early, like 10 years later. I would have never been traumatized by the bullying. I would have been in a way better space. I wouldn't have to deal with people being openly disrespectful to me in public and all this nonsense. My life would have been way better if I was born 10 years later. I envy those dudes, but they for some, I don't know, maybe I think people are looking at it as, oh nah, man, they're looking at it from a relationship standpoint that, oh, when it was in the 90s and the 80s, it was better to have relationships. I could care less. I just wanted to be treated well and not disrespectfully, And if I was born 10 years later, I would be able to skip all of that nonsense. And I felt like I would have had a way more normal upbringing, basically similar to my siblings, right? Henoch says, Oi, very Chris. Ove, Chris, the past is not promised 3,000 years ago. By the way, unfortunately, I'll say this, I've been going a little bit too hard on the small hats, recently. I meant no harm in these past couple live streams. I meant no harm, but I'm seeing too much nonsense from the people in charge, the people empowered, with the people with money. And I have to say something. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Oh, yeah, it looks like everybody's using this meme today. That's why this was my thumbnail. This is why this was my thumbnail. But anyways, let me bring up my Instagram. Let me bring up my Instagram real quick. Let me bring up my Instagram. Let me bring up one of these videos. Oh man. Let's see what I got. Let's see what I got. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You guys are going to like this one. Let me copy this link. Let me open up this link. And we're going to download this video. It's interesting with social media now, the amount of times where women are just willing to snitch on their own selves. It's 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 quite comforting. I'll say for me, it's quite comforting. Where you'll observe something as an individual, especially as a man, you'll say, "Oh, women be doing this." I see a lot of young women are doing this, or blah blah blah, and they will act like they, you know, or you're just seeing things, you don't know what you're talking about, you're generalizing, all this nonsense. But I'm like, look, you guys are saying it. I'm not getting I'm not getting this information mostly from men. I'm getting it from literally directly from the horse's mouth. Like when I'm going to show you this next video, when I talk about, I'm not going to say most women, but a good, 30 to 40% of women, especially in America, they seem to always have this lure where they, at one point in their life, they were dating criminals, sneaking out of the house and dating criminals and drug dealers. And it's a lot more common than you think. People think that when you mention this, they act like you're hating, they act like you're just making this stuff up. It's just interesting. And then they'll make a video confirming your worst fears or what you already heard. So let me share this video with you guys real quick. Let me share this video.
Someone said that these 18 and 19-year-olds are walking around depressed and sad. When I was 18 and 19, I was a hoe. Yep, I was. Riding around with the drug dealers, playing with guns, dying in fields from alcohol poisoning, telling my mother I was at Becky's house, but I was really in the state of New York hanging out with the gangbangers. I was in the club. I was in VIP with bottles. I was literally on top of the world, not paying for a motherfucking thing. And I still survived, you know? And back in the day, there was literally nothing that a handle of Dubra, a pack of Newport 100s, and a McChicken couldn't fix. Do you feel me? It seems like this generation's a little soft. Or maybe I just grew up too fast. Or maybe, no, I am not the only one. I am not the only one. Millennials, check in. Come in the comments and tell me the wild, crazy shit you used to do back in the day, because we were lit. We were lit.
You see? Oh man. But people with the, I'll say this, people with experience with women, they know this is a thing. It's common. This is common. Even when you look at right now, if you it's a lot of colleges out there where it's almost like a really badly kept secret where a good portion of Gen Z women that are in college, especially for the past 5 to 6 years, they're on Seeking. Like, is a good, like, if you go on college campus, it's about 40 to 50, yeah, about 40% of the women, 30 to 40% of the women are on Seeking. They're on Seeking or they're on some kind of sugar daddy site, you know, or they're doing OF. They're selling feet pics. They're doing all these little things on the side. They're having little side quests. They're getting flown out. By the way, the final straw, I'll keep it a buck with you. My final straw of me like not even returning to dating apps in 2018 was it was this fat girl, and she had her Instagram in her bio, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not enough for me to like her pic. Let me see her Instagram. And then I saw her Instagram, and then I was looking at, I'm like, wait a minute, a flight here, a flight. I'm like, but this is a, I was like, she's getting flown out. And I was like, oh nah, this is, I can't compete with this. I was like, yo, I was like, if it's fat bitches getting flown out, this game is wicked, right? But anyways, back to this lady right here. We're gonna break this down a little bit more. We go break this down a little bit more before we read the comments. Mind you, all of her comments is women saying that, yo, we were doing the same thing. Millennial women are so in competition with Gen Z women that they were willing to out themselves for being hoes just because they want to prove that they're more social than Gen Z women. They will they hear the rumors of Gen Z women are not having lives and all this stuff, and now she wanted to take the opportunity to show that she's more social than Gen Z women. So much so she's willing to out herself for being a 304. Just to prove that she has social skills. But anyways, let's replay this video real quick. Do I got my replay overlay? I don't think I have it. Oh, here we go. There we go. This is my replay overlay.
Someone said that these 18 and 19-year-olds are walking around depressed and sad. When I was 18 and 19, I was a hoe.
Now, let's keep it a buck. It's not at 18 and 19. She started becoming a hoe. It was actually a little bit younger for her. Let's keep it a buck. That's like women don't like people just think women just go to college and then that's when they start sleeping around. No, we've already had the stats. We've shown the stats. By the time women hit 16, more than half of the women, their virginity is gone. By the time most women hit 16 in America, most of the young women are not virgins. So when she's talking about being a hoe and all this stuff at 18 and 19, no, it didn't start at 18. It really, with her, it probably started at 16 or 15, right? Like with her, yeah, I'll say with her, 15.
Yep, I was. Riding around with the drug dealers, playing with guns, dying in fields from alcohol poisoning, telling my mother I was at Becky's house, but I was really in the state of New York hanging out with the gangbangers.
I told you I'll be on the train to New York a lot. You'll have a whole bunch of teens. Men, mind you, teenage boys and teenage girls. But they go in the city to act a fool, trying to bar hop and go into clubs and all this nonsense. So they're looking for this trouble at that time.
I was in the club. I was in VIP with bottles. I was literally on top of the world, not paying for a motherfucking thing. And I still survived, you know? And
Yeah, I was about to say more like in high school. Yeah, I was about to say it doesn't just start in college. A lot of them it does start in college in terms of just pure hold'em, but before college they had to sneak out. They had to sneak out of the house.
back in the day, there was literally nothing that a handle of Dubra, a pack of Newport 100s, and a McChicken couldn't fix.
She just indirectly gave you guys the cost of her punani when she was 18 and 19 years old. That was the cost of her her punani, a McChicken sandwich. That's all you had to do. Give her a little McChicken sandwich, some drugs. She said a pack was a pack of Newport 100s, but what she really means is just drugs in general. That's just a code word for drugs. What else did she say? She said something else. I'm missing something else.
A pack of Newport. And back in the day, there was literally nothing that a handle of Dubra.
What is a handle of? Is that a beer? Is that alcohol? I don't know the alcohol brand names because I don't drink at all. I don't smoke at all. I'm a square. So she said a handle of Dubra. Is that beer? I'm just gonna assume that's alcohol. So that was the cost. All you needed to do was give her a drink or a smoke or a McChicken sandwich for some aftercare. That was the aftercare cost, a McChicken sandwich. This is some interesting stuff.
a pack of Newport 100s, and a McChicken couldn't fix. Do you feel me? It seems like this generation's a little soft. Or maybe I just grew up too fast. Or maybe, no, I am not the only one. I am not the only one.
Well, well, we were all doing it, girls. Am I right? We were all doing it, girls. Come on. I'm not the only one. But anyway.
Millennials, check in. Come in the comments and tell me the wild, crazy shit you used to do back in the day, because we were lit. We were lit.
By the way, I always tell you guys, when you hear girls talking about, oh, I used to sneak out of the house when I was a teenager, that means that girl was getting tossed by grown men and predators and drug dealers. I'm just keeping it a bug with you. When you they're not gonna say, man, I was getting fucked. Some of them will say that. Some of them will say that. But if she's saying, oh, I used to sneak out of the house when I was blah blah blah, just assume body count 75. Minimum 75. I'm just keeping it a buck with you guys. Minimum 75. But anyways, let's look at the comment section. This is going to be interesting. Let me see if I can share the tab. I should be able to share it. Here we go. Oh man, I don't know if I can zoom in on the comments. Maybe I can share this instead. Let me see if I can zoom in on these comments, because it's just funny to me. Hold on for a second. Oh, here we go. Let's take it out of this mode. Let's look at the comments. Somebody said, my parents still have no idea who I am or who I've been. Good Lord. Mind you, this is a regular. Let's look at her profile. This is a regular. Oh, well, she's a realtor. But like I said, this is what you would call a regular woman. You would never think that she was a 304. You would have never thought she had a whole face just looking at her. This is what you call a regular, woman. What Coach Greg Adams call ecclesiastical. Your ecclesiastical wife. and she is right. A lot of parents, they have no idea. A lot of dads, they have no idea. Another woman comes in the comments. She says, I think back and it shows me God is real. Oh, we have a guy commenting. He says, we had house parties that we barely fit inside the house. But it's mostly women commenting. It's probably that one guy. Here we have a woman says, I think often, how did the traffickers miss me? I was outside. Oh, they didn't miss you. They just decided you weren't. They were like, let's go for somebody else. You were partying with the traffickers. But that's a whole other subject for another day. Somebody else in the comments, she says, we did all the things without evidence. Because you could say the millennials were probably the last of that generation where they could party and underage drink without any without any smartphones, right? Without Snapchat, without Instagram Live, YouTube Live, so whatever was recorded, somebody needed to actually have an actual camera, or a Polaroid or something. Rachel Marie 2390, she says, what we don't do much these days because our entire adulthood was lived out between age 15 through 21. I'm 36 now. So when you dealing with a girl that's like what 22, 23, right when she graduates college, and she's telling you, I'm not a party girl, I don't do that. But the reality is that she did all of that when she was in high school. From high school through from from high school and the first 2 years of college, and then junior year she decided to start, chilling out. That's usually what happens. That's I'll say that's the usual cycle of, like, I'll say, like, the average white woman. Like, I'll say, like, yeah, that's like 40 to 60% of the white women. They'll party from like ages 15 through 20. They'll get like an STD scare or a pregnancy scare around the time, and then they'll chill out, and then they'll get engaged by a beta or a simp in college by junior or senior, yeah, by junior senior year in college, and then they'll get engaged. That's the usual cycle right there. Let me see, Rachel Marie 2390. Let's take a look at her profile. Let's see what she's working with. Uh-oh. So this is some interesting stuff. So let's look at her profile. We got Rachel Marie. Let's look at her bio. She's a mom, healthy lifestyle, faith, foodie. So another Christian, ecclesiastical wife. Oh man, this is crazy. Here we have another woman. She says, I'm just liking the comments because I'm not confessing anything. So that tells me everything I need to know. Damn. Somebody says, we are the reason Life 360 exists for our kids. Basically, all the women in the comments are confirming what I've been saying. These hoes was outside. Somebody else says, all I'm saying is that I'm glad we didn't have camera phones and social media back then because, baby. A guy said, some things you should just keep to yourself. Hey, man. I always say, let the hoes talk, man. Let the hoes talk. I don't want to be kept in the dark. I don't want to be kept in the dark. I want to know exactly what I'm getting myself into. And then obviously, let's look at the comment, the original poster. Let's look at her profile. Yo, yo, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, guys. This is crazy. This is crazy. Look at her profile. Look at her profile. She's from Connecticut. Hold on. Hold on for a second. She's from Connecticut. This is crazy. Hold on. I did not expect this. This is my first time seeing her profile. And she's married too. She's married too. Oh my God. This is crazy work. Hold on. So she's from Connecticut and she's married. She has a kid, it looks like. Oh, damn. Oh man, this is crazy work. First of all, her profile low key is crazy work. Her profile is crazy work. I need to be careful with this. I got to be careful with this because I don't want to all of a sudden she's posting like a city or a town that I know of, and I'll be like, hey, I know where that town is. Uh-oh. Her TikTok. Let me see. I'm trying to look at this. Let's look at her TikTok. This is crazy. I did not expect this. This is a pleasant surprise. She's from Connecticut. Oh, man. Let me go on TikTok.com. Let's look up her username. Let's look up her username. I hope she didn't have to delete her TikTok. Because there's a lot of bras. They'll like post a TikTok and then they'll go viral. And then they, oh man, she put it to private. But anyways, because I don't feel like. Can I log in with my? I'm gonna try to see if I can log in real quick to my TikTok. Oh, okay. Here we go. We're good. We're good. I don't know why would she post that though. She wanted to show out so bad. She wanted to like she did not need to snitch on herself like this. By the way, just to let you know, um, people were Myron went Myron, yeah, Myron Gaines went viral just recently. Again, I guess a white supremacist called him out. The white supremacist told him to stop cooning, basically. But it's I will say this because coming from Connecticut, this is what I will say because Myron's from Connecticut as well. Um, I will say this. I will say this. People should find it very interesting that there's nobody from Connecticut telling him to chill out. I think should find that very interesting. It should tell you what you need to know about Connecticut. Just letting you know, Connecticut ain't for the weak, especially if you're especially at the time because Myron was I don't know how old he was when 9/11 happened, but I already know they probably gave this nigga a hard time. So what happens is when you grow up in certain spots like that where he was dealing with like he probably was dealing with racist people in general, just like up front, they were probably already very racist to him when he was growing up. So now he's just taking all the stuff that he knows and he's just putting the energy back. The reason why those people from Connecticut they can't really call him out is because they probably were on that same nonsense. It's a lot of these, mind you, there's a lot of these left leaning dudes that are in their late 20s or in their 30s, but when they were in high school and they lived in those towns where it was majority white, they were on that they were saying some racist nonsense. So they try to make up for it later on in life by being extremely liberal. But when they were in high school, they were on some nonsense. That's all I'm gonna say about that situation with Myron. People should find it interesting that people from Connecticut aren't saying like, "Oh man, I remember him. He's from Connecticut. He's a loser and all this stuff." They're not doing that. The reason why they're not doing that is because there's a lot of towns in Connecticut. They're on that time, and I'm not gonna say no names. I'm not gonna say no town names. But if I mention the towns, people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, they're yeah." But anyways, Pyro says, "How, bro? How do you have a white supremacist telling you, bro, you're not a Uncle Ruckus? Relax." And by the way, even the white supremacist that came on the mic, I don't even think he was white himself. I think he was Jewish. I could be wrong. He looked a little bit Jewish, but I could be wrong. Only in America, you got only in America. You I've met I'm talking about in public. I've met way too many people of color that are white supremacists. Only in America. You have people of color that are white supremacists. It's is or that align with white supremacist ideologies or talking points. Only in America. And then the white dudes that were on that type of timing, they end up changing later on in life, and then they're just like, oh no, that was just I was just in high school when I was on that nonsense. I be seeing these dudes too. They be like they be they'll have they'll be having a family. They have a nice job. They're nice they clean themselves off really good. They have their nice professional looking LinkedIn. Man, if I put the people on blast, the people that were basically on some KKK type timing, people would be shocked. They'd be like, him? That's why the people in Myron's past, they can't even call him out because they're like, damn, we did this to him. We turned this nigga out. They can't even say shit to him. I just because usually when guys like that come out, usually you'll have people come forward and say, "Oh, I remember him in high school, or I remember him in college. He was like this." First of all, they already know if they showed any, if they were aligned with Myron at any time, they're going to assume that they were one of those dudes in the those pictures of Myron, him and those white dudes in the bed together. That was first of all, Myron, you got to admit, Myron, you got to come to the table and be like, look, I got hazed. That was part of the initiation. You got to because what Myron is afraid to put white dudes on blast. He's afraid to put white dudes on blast. You got to he needs to come forward and be like, look, these motherfuckers was taking advantage of me. I got hazed. This is how they do things because white dudes they be doing stuff like that. Unfortunately, in college or in high school, they will haze. They'll just do gay pranks. They'll be in the locker rooms stripping naked and trying to literally dry hump dudes. That's why I would like me personally. I would never even be in the locker room for long when I was in high school. Nigga, I used to be in and out because I wanted no parts. Now, technically, it might be more of a guy thing in general, but the way that white dudes be joking is just it's different from how other races of groups be joking. So Myra needs to come forward and be like, "Look, this is what these dudes did to me." you know, but any that's why most of those dudes they're not going to come forward and say, "Oh, I knew Myra from the past," because they're gonna in their mind they think they're gonna be outed. They're like, wait, you knew this nigga? So you they don't want to be they want no parts of aligning themselves with Myron in any way. Oh man. But anyways, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's bring up another video. Let's see if we can bring up another video. Um a bop house. Nah, I'm not gonna show that video. I ain't gonna show that video. Let me go on Twitter. Let me go on Twitter. I'm gonna X out of Instagram. There's something I do want to show on. I want to do show somebody on Twitter. Um, I do want to show a Twitter video real quick. Okay, let's go on Twitter because I saved a lot of videos recently on my Twitter. I hope I still have. I hope I still have this. It's actually a skit. I don't know if it's still there. I don't know if it's still there, but it was a skit that I really liked. I want to show that video and then I want to show the female comedian. Oh, I don't, man, I don't think I saved the skit, but I'll show you the female comedian. So there's this female comedian that went viral. I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to share it with you guys. I was going to do a video on this. I'm probably still am going to do a video on this. And we already know my opinion when it comes to women doing comedy. It's just most female comics, I'm sorry to say, they're just not funny. They're just not funny. And the reason why they're not funny is because they don't really, first of all, they lie too much, and then number two, they don't really talk. What the female experience is nothing like the male experience. So they don't. There's certain pain that men go through, which which men can take that and turn it into literally a whole comedy special, a whole career. Men are really good at taking their own trauma and making jokes from it. Shout out to Richard Pryor. Like Richard Pryor, literally, he's the only person that can make a joke about him getting molested and making it sound funny. It's crazy how he was able to do that. But that's how good of a comedian Richard Pryor is. Women don't really, especially the women of today, there's no growing pains. A lot of things are just handed to them, and they don't really have to go through anything of real significance. So they don't really have a story to tell, or a trials and tribulations situation where they can turn their pain into comedy. And then on top of that, number one, and most, sorry, not number one, but most importantly, women aren't required to be funny for men to be attracted to them, you know. So women don't have to do much for men to be attracted to them in the first place, let alone be funny, you know. So you have a whole bunch of women, they'll do comedy, and most of the laughs that they get is just sympathy laughs. But most people know that a lot of these women out here, especially the young women, they're not really funny. But right here, we're gonna have a female comic here. I don't know what her name is. She's going to have an exchange with a heckler, and she's going to lose the exchange. Here we have another video of a female comic losing the roast battle to a heckler. And when comedians are doing crowd work, that's usually it's easy money. It's an alley-oop. It's a layup. But she's still, even the female comics can't even get those right. But let's watch this exchange.
To have more women in male-dominated positions. Did you say who? You booed? You don't think that more women should be in male-dominated positions? I don't know. Does it require a PhD? So you're saying that women should do? Okay. Well, okay. Now I'm curious. I really would like. What work do you think women should?
The heckler got more laughs than the female comic, by the way. That's wild. This is a drunk dude in in a crowd. A drunk hillbilly in the crowd, mind you. Because I can hear the accent.
Should do then. Men should do concrete work, okay? Because you like concrete and they need to play with it. I get it. But what kind of jobs do you think?
Get more women in mining.
We should get. They still do mining. What are we mining for?
Copper.
We're mining for copper.
Arizona's the largest.
Oh, I did not know that. So you're saying that you're trying to get more women in mining or not?
It's up to you.
Oh, it's up to me.
Yeah.
Well, preferably I prefer not to mine because I have a master's degree and I like would rather not do that. But I think that if women want to mine, they should be able to go down into the mines to mine, right? Right? Um, yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I feel like this is a topic for greater discussion.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, this is why you'll have a lot of dudes that say women shouldn't be like mayors or politicians. Just the fact that she didn't even know that there's still like we need people to do mining, we need people to do construction. Like what the She's like, I have a master's degree. Well, first of all, if you're doing comedy and you have a master's degree, you fucked up. You fucked up. Clearly, your master's degree is in something not important because you're doing stand up comedy, bruh. I have a master's degree, so I shouldn't have to be doing mining. What is that? Ugh. We still mine. We still have people that do mining. Yeah, the microphone that you're holding, ma'am. Like, bro, like, really? She's probably one of those bras. She's like, wait, what's a welder? What is a what are we welding for? Like, what are we doing, man? Look, first of all, comics in general too, like there's a lot of comics, especially like male comics. People will give them their credit for being street smart or having a little bit of knowledge about a little of everything, being up to date with news topics, trending topics, and all these things. But it's a lot of women that I've seen that do comedy. They have a lot of blank spots. Like like they don't even know like the basics of certain things. Like, how do you not know? Like, these are basics. These are like basic things that by a certain age you should know about these things. Why you have men in the road, working on the road, working on the highway, the plumbers, the electricians, bruh. Oh man. Pyro says, "Oh, he says, well, by the way, Chris, I'm also a certified welder too, so I do have two jobs. So that's good. That's good." Zero G says, "Let's call it what it is. They ain't funny." Shout out to Zero G in the chat. He says, "Chris, it's only an alley oop if they have that bag." By the way, in my opinion, comedians that rely on crowd work are not that funny because it's supposed to be an alley oop. Like, when you're doing crowd work, those are a lot of the people that rely on crowd work. They don't have material, in my opinion. That's just my opinion on that. So you'll see a lot of the comedians that you see go viral on Facebook or Instagram. It's them doing crowd work. And you'll have like, even specifically, like, you'll take a comedian like a Kosh. He relies specifically on crowd work because he has no material, you know. But this is the second occasion that I've seen a female comic, do crowd work and they lose to the heckler. How do you lose to the heckler? You have the microphone. How are you losing? You have the microphone. The heckler has to yell. He has to stress his voice. He has to he's the one looking crazy. You have the microphone. It's easy work. It's easy work. Zero G Tactics says, but she still gets more stage time than the ones who put the work in to increase their skill, all because of that puniti. Yeah, she's fucking somebody. Right. She's like when you're seeing female comics, especially the ones that are clearly not funny, she's a girlfriend of one of the comics, or she's dating one of the comics, that's or she's dating the production manager or one of the guys that are doing the lineups, or she's fucking the headliner. She's fucking somebody. Especially the ones with like women like that. Like when you see a young lady like that, she's fucking somebody. Because she like in like there's nothing you like she's working with nothing. She has no talent. She doesn't even have a shtick. She doesn't even have a character that she's playing. She's just a liberal minded woman that's having some stage time that has a microphone. She's fucking somebody. Oh man. Zero G says, believe me, Chris, if this mess happened on the ground level, they're on stage due to somebody getting something fun time screwing over decent people. Mind you, I know some women that actually I would love to see them on stage to hear what they have to say, because they have a very interesting perspective, or they grew up a certain way where I would actually love to hear their perspective on life. But the women that usually get the shots are the women that are screwing somebody. That's just how it works. You see it in sports journalism, you see it in journalism in general. That's what they do. But anyways, I just want to replay it one more time, because this is like, wow. How could somebody like that unintelligent get a chance on the stage like this? It's just mind-boggling to me. Um I gotta replay this for the streets.
Should have more women in male-dominated positions. Did you say boo? You booed? You don't think that more women should be in male-dominated positions?
Like, I don't even hear no laughter.
Want to do concrete work, darling?
The heckler got more laughs than the female comic. Like, what the man? I don't know, man.
I don't know. Does it require a PhD? So you're saying that women should do? Okay, well, okay. Now I'm curious. I really would like. What work do you think women should do then? Men should do concrete work, okay? Because you like concrete and they need to play with it. I get it. But what kind of jobs do you think?
Man, without men doing this, concrete work, because men love to play with clay. Without, the bricklayers, without these are the people that literally build our society. We need these people, right? These are the like AI is in my opinion, AI will replace most jobs, and I think eventually they will replace a lot of these trades eventually later down the line, but these are going to be the last jobs being replaced, because they're like these things require manual labor. These require men, really, to be quite honest with you. But it's interesting the way that she kind of talks down on those jobs. It just shows you just the lack of, not only the lack of respect, but just she's just far removed from reality.
You get more women in mining.
We should get these.
She should already understand the point that he's trying to make is we should get more women in the trades if you're actually looking for equality. But when women are complaining about not being in male dominated positions, she's just talking about CEOs and suites. The man with the corner office, with the golf course in his own office, and the plants and shit, with the view of the skyline. Those are the jobs that they're talking about, that they want more equality or more equal distribution, when it comes to gender and all this nonsense. But they don't want to equal distribution in plumbing. They don't want to equal distribution in being an electrician, so forth and so on. That was the point that he was trying to make. And now he kind of made a bad job at doing it, but he still made a lot more sense than this broad.
Still do mining? What are we mining for? We're mining for copper?
Arizona's the largest.
Oh, I did not know that. So you're saying that you're trying to get more women in mining or not?
It's up to you.
Oh, it's up to me.
Yeah.
Well, preferably I prefer not to mine because I have a master's degree and I would rather not do that. But I think that if women want to mine, they should be able to go down into the mines to mine, right? Right? Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like this is a topic for greater discussion.
But I'll say this: I can't OD shit on her because I've messed with women like this. I ain't gonna. I can't be too much of a hypocrite. I fucked women like this, so I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. Oh man. He says she's asking questions, not giving out punchlines. The old school 6-figure man type of life. But I'm gonna read the caption right here. He says the guy that made this caption right here, he says one of the male dominated fields that women should not attempt to get into is stand-up comedy. Yeah, I would agree. Sorry, my brother's he's gonna take care of that. He says when someone says, "What do you mean a degree doesn't equal intelligence?" You send them this. Facts. Someone says she has a master's degree. In case she didn't specifically tell anyone, you would have never guessed. And she is attempting to do stand-up comedy and be funny. What a fucking embarrassment. This guy said a female comedian is an oxymoron. I've said that on my channel too. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's just not worth it. The only female comedian that I found slightly funny was some more. That's it. That's it. It's probably a couple. Let me see. Zero G says, "Wait, Chris, you've been with a female comic?" Yeah, dude. It's a lot of those in New York City. Believe it or not. Like these, you'll okay. This is what happens. You'll have a lot of these young women. They'll not only will they try their hands in entertain, like they won't just try comedy. They're gonna try music. They're gonna try they're gonna try bartending. They're gonna try to be a bottle girl. They're gonna try to do they're gonna try to see if they can do a podcast. They'll do it for like 2 weeks and then they'll quit. Like a lot of particularly young women of today, they're gonna try to put their hands in different parts of the entertainment industry, and especially especially if they're getting sponsored by their dad, because a lot of them, when you're talking about young Asian girls or young white girls, they're getting sponsored by their dad, and they're living off their dad's money until like age 32, 33, right? So they're going to try their hands in different entertainment fields. Okay. So so it happens a lot. It happens a lot more often than you think. You'll run across a woman that has an Instagram account and she's trying, and she'll put some memes up there, and then she'll try her hand in comedy, and somehow she'll make, not necessarily she'll make it far, but she'll make it where she actually has a shot to say her jokes in front of a decent a fairly large audience. You're like, how did you even get into this room? You're like, you can't like, the broad can't even put a sentence together, but she's somehow doing a room where I saw like somebody like I literally saw Tony Baker just do this room. How the fuck did you get a chance to open for say, like, let's take an IG comedian that's really famous. I'm like, how did you open for Desi Banks? I know he's not a famous comedian, but how did you move up the ranks so fast? You know, it's a lot of bras like that. It's a young woman I know. Um, she does music though. Um, I'm not saying she's not good at it. I think she's, in my opinion, I think she's pretty good. She can play the guitar. She has a nice voice, but she always, every time she does a production, every time that she does a concert, she's always able to hire a whole band and a whole damn near orchestra. And I'm like, where are you getting this money from? Because I know she has a bachelor's and she has a master's in music studies and performance art and stuff like that. But I'm like, where are you getting this money from? But she has her what I found out is her dad has some money. I don't want to say what her dad does, right? Because people might put two and two together. So she's like all over. So the way she's able to pay these people, where she's able to have literally like like low, like basically professional type recordings every time she has a show, or every time she has a gig, she's able to, or she's able to get camera work done. That money is coming from her dad, right? And on top of that, I remember talking to her, and she says, "Oh, like, because she's a left leaning, girl, septum, nose ring, piercing, and everything." I met her while I was on tour, um, but she said that she wanted to try her hand in the podcast world, and she also wanted to see if she can do comedy. She just mentioned it in passing. She just thinks that she can just try it out. But a lot of women, they can just afford to try it out because they're already well connected. They have a famous dad. So it's really common. Um, I could give you another example off the top of my head. I played with this band. There's this 18 or what's the 17-year-old girl that was already opening up for us. I'm like, who is she? The fuck? Like, and she's not even good, but she got connects to Berkeley, but that's because her dad has money. But her dad is basically, I me personally, I think her dad is a mobster, but that's just me. That's just me. Her dad is a mobster, but she, her dad has enough money where he could just pay for her to go to music school, the best music school that money can buy. And and because of her connects, and because her dad has enough money to literally pay for engagement for her in terms of followings and all this stuff. She has an Instagram following, so she can kind of guise herself like, oh, I'm just a hipster doing music, but her dad is a whole mob boss and has money. Like her dad got money. Like, she opened up for the band that I was playing with, and I don't want to say the band, but her dad was able to get, like, his security people that he hires, they showed up for her. So that's how like how much juice her dad got. Like his coworkers or whatever, the people that work his the people that work under him had to show up. That's how much juice he had. You know, I remember like I remember even in high school I had classmates like that where you would have a fundraiser, and then I remember the bass player in my class in the orchestra. He was like, "Oh yeah, my dad's gonna take care of it." He's like, what do you mean?" He's like, "Oh yeah, my dad, he runs this company. He's basically gonna make all of his employees buy these cookies or whatever, these cakes that we had to sell." So we were always able to make the money that we needed in terms of the fundraising to go to to go to see a New York City trip, whatever. And we were always able to raise money every year that he was there because his dad had juice. Like where his employees have to buy this so they can get like it's crazy how this stuff works. But anyways, a lot of these people like it's a lot of these things. So because you know how we say, oh, you know, this woman fucked her or this woman fucked this guy, that's why they got the spot. You know, most of the time that's true, but a lot of the times it's not only just that, but a lot of the times they have a dad where their dad is plugged or their mom is plugged. They have a plugged relative. They have a plugged uncle, a plugged grandfather. You know, that's another part of the game that a lot of people don't really take into account. By the way, I got the first girl that I was talking about that be hiring all these people. I gotta reach back to her because she really should be quitting music by this time, but she's still in it and she's gaining engagement as we speak because she does not have the funds for the stuff that she's pulling. She does not have the funds for that. I got to see what's up with her. See if she can hook me up, like for real. He says, "Oh, New York City. Well, I believe it. Yeah, yeah. You know the like. It's a whole bunch of wannabe comics in general that live in New York City, that live in Manhattan, Brooklyn. But it's a lot of women out there. They just think that they could just try comedy. They could just let me just try comedy. Shout out to Young Doka in the chat. But yeah, it's a lot of female comics like this. But I guarantee you, it's not only that she fucked somebody, but she's plugged. It's a lot of female comics like this though. I gotta find out what her name is though. I gotta find out what her name is. I'm gonna do. I might do a separate video on this. Let me see if I see any more comments. Yeah, she said, "Yeah, we still do mining." That's what she said this out loud. I was like, "Good lord." Oh man. Danky right here. I'm gonna read his comment and then I'm going to move on to a different video. He says, "Mining is the foundational industry of all society." He said, "Does she think you get copper and lithium at Costco?" He says, "Even more ironic is that her master's degree is an MBA. She probably spent her entire time trying to understand the wage gap rather than learning the manufacturing cycle." It's a lot of broads out there. There's a lot of broads out there that don't understand how business works, how real life works, the resources that we need to gather, vending, all the basically the basics, just the basics. You know, they spend their time, being liberals, um, trying to shame people, trying to debate conservative podcast bros and shit like that. Just completely wasting their time. Oh man. Out of all the stuff that they can learn in college, in life, the opportunities that the women have, and they're just using it to just to become annoying. Oh man. But anyways, let me get another video in. Let me get another video in. Oh, never mind. The fuck? I thought my bookmarks was gonna pop up. Let's see what we got here. I'm under my bookmarks. Let's see what we got.
40s an awful lot. And the reality is,
Got John Cena.
Excited because I just think John's going to love.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. Let's see this. Oh, we got the HR story. I could talk about that. We got the Joy Taylor video. We got an Asian girl talking about dating in Atlanta. Another Asian girl engagement baiting. Oh, let's talk about some real shit real quick. Hold on. So here we have a picture right here. We have a regular, older Caucasian dude, making a joke. He says, me and the 19-year-old intern. And this is a part of the game that we need to really address. I was supposed to address this a while back. I'm glad I found this. So here, somebody replied and said, this is the actual reason why young white men can't get jobs, not DEI. And I agree. Yo, look, man. This is something that people don't want to address. It's a lot of these older white dudes that are in positions of power, or when it comes to hiring or recruiting. And instead of hiring a younger version of themselves, they end up hiring broads, that younger broads that they're attracted to. Instead of really hiring somebody, a young man, forget race, just a young man with potential, a man that might not be perfect, but a man that might have a future in the company, a man that might actually be a really strong manager for you for like literally 10, 15 years, maybe even 20. And they will hire interns, broads like this that will end up me tooing them later on in life. And this is really part of the reason why you'll see there's a lot of young men out there that are not getting jobs and all these things. But then you'll have, I'm sorry to call him out, but you'll have guys like Better Bachelor, right? AKA Joker, and they will talk about, people are being racist towards white dudes, and they're not, young white men aren't getting the employment that they deserve, and blah blah blah. But the reality is there are people in charge that have actually been appointed by other white men, and they're actually not giving younger men in general proper opportunities. They're actually giving opportunities. If they are going to give men opportunities, they're giving it to people that they can pay under the table, or immigrants or migrants that they can pay a little bit less. any way that they can cut corners, that's what they're doing, and it comes at the expense of the average man, right? So but unfortunately, you'll have guys like Better Bachelor. They'll just think it's just about it's an what's it? They'll say it's an attack on young white men. That's what they'll say. And there's something to that. There's some truth to that, but it's they will like guys like Better Bachelor or young white men in general. They will never hold the dudes in charge that actually make these decisions. They will never really hold them responsible for creating this kind of environment. So, for example, right? You'll hear on this, like you'll see me on this channel, and I'm one of the few people that will say, look, when it comes to particularly when people are complaining about immigration or the migrants and all this stuff, it kind of gets redundant hearing people complain about immigration. Now, if it's coming from a FBA dude, all right, I'll understand where that FBA dude is coming from, but what you'll have, particularly when it comes to older white dudes complaining about immigrants and all this stuff, it's like, bruh, like you could have stopped this. But particularly they'll complain about Mexicans, right? This is where I have to kind of like draw the line and be like, guys, this could have been stopped. But unfortunately, there was a time in this country, particularly when you're talking about early 2000s, 90s, 80s, older white men, older Caucasian dudes, older Jewish dudes prioritized just making sure that black men weren't getting certain types of jobs. So even if it means letting the Mexicans coming through over the border, if they could take the jobs, as long as if it wasn't any, what was it? What's the term? ABB, anybody but black, right? That's something I just came up with on the spot, right? You know when they talk about anybody but Trump, but unfortunately there was a time where it was like anybody but black. So they would literally they would literally let these people come over, prioritize literally anybody but black. So if it means hiring an Indian, hiring a Mexican, letting you'll have all these Asian peoples, having all these stores all across, ninja communities, nationwide. There was a whole bunch of ninjas that had they couldn't get business loans, they couldn't get bank loans, they couldn't start their business, but then you'd have the Indians come over, they were able to do it with literally no money in their pocket, no equity, no capital, but they were able to jumpstart their communities. They were able to get loans from the banks. They were able to get assistance, financial assistance. So you literally financed your own enemy for decades. And now you're complaining about, oh my God, Indians are everywhere. Oh my God, Mexicans, they just the only reason why we're having this, we have this thing where, oh, we got to hire ICE and all these things, and they're only doing this stuff now because the Mexicans, they got the numbers now. It's an arms race. They realize, like, people are finally realizing, look, there's too much. There's too much. We gotta even out these. We gotta even out these numbers. These numbers are too much. But this happened under your watch. So when I hear, particularly white people in general, but specifically white dudes in general, just complaining about specifically the Mexicans and the Indians, I'm like, I mean, you guys could have. I'm not saying the average white man. I'm talking about there were people in charge. They could have stopped this, but they prioritized make like they if they spent a fraction of that energy. I'm talking about the fraction of that energy that they use to keep black men out of position, not necessarily positions of power. I'm talking about just jobs in general. If they took a fraction of that energy, a fraction, and used it to make sure they weren't paying certain people under the table or outsourcing jobs to foreigners and really regulating that situation, if they spent a fraction of the energy and put it towards that, we would not have an immigration problem. Yeah, exactly. The 7-Eleven. So shout out to Pyro with the $2 super chat. And a lot of people, they don't want to, they don't want to really speak on, this part of the game. But that's why I don't really when it comes to immigration in general, I'm just like, this could have been stopped. But people's priorities are in they're always in the wrong place. Right. So let me highlight the $2 super chat and play the sound bite that we all know and love.
Donations. 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 Gifts. 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 More gifts. More gifts.
Pyro the Flame came with the $2 super chat. He says the 7-Elevens and all the banks from the small hats. Facts. And oh yeah, on top of that, all the people will talk about welfare recipients, public assistance, yet we're literally giving a country outside of the United States. Y'all know the country I'm talking about, and they've been living off of our tax dollars, getting free health care, social security, all of these things, and we're literally funding another country. But but do you know when we're talking about public assistance and people not getting welfare, who do we usually talk about? We usually talk about black people, or in my case, the single mammies, right? But we would never talk about the small country literally gorging off of our tax dollars. Or we don't ever question like how come all these Indians they get to have all these stores? The only people that were complaining about this was ninjas. They'll just be like, look, like how are the Indians? They have all these, and we can't have one. It's not that ninjas can't start a business, or it was a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of ninjas that they'll tell you they can get a college loan, they can get a car loan, they can get a mortgage, like they can get like all these different type of loans, but they can never really get a business loan. They can't get loans to bail them out if their business fails, and all these like it's always a uphill battle when it comes to establishing their own chain of economics. But a country that starts with a U next to another country that starts with an R, they can get they can get assistance. Small hats can get assistance. Indians can come to this country and get money from the banks to start their own businesses. The Arabs can come here, get monies from the bank. But the average man, really in general, they can't do that. But the warning signs are already there with how they were trying to break apart the black family back in the 60s, the 50s, right? The warning signs are already there. The warning signs were already there, so it's a bit of a lot of the stuff that because I've seen Joker, specifically Joker, he'll complain about these things, and I'm like, oh, niggas was talking about that in like literally the 70s, 80s, when you're talking about economic disenfranchisement. I don't know if I'm saying it right. When you're being economically disenfranchised, what you do is you make sure the men don't have jobs, right? You take away their economic power. And now that system of disenfranchisement is now spreading to the average man in general, the average American citizen. So this has been going unchecked for years, and it's kind of like there's literally nothing we can do about it now. And it sucks because when you look back, people are going to look back and be like, damn, we literally financed the enemy for decades. Literally for decades. But if you let the average conservative on YouTube, right, or the average right-leaning individual on YouTube, they'll tell you that all the money went to ninjas. No, that's just not true. Like, no. In terms of when you look at if you actually do like a financial audit of where all the money went to, all of our tax dollars went to, all these, like, when you really tally it up, you'll be shocked where all of our money is going most times. But that's a whole nother subject for another day. Let me see if I can bring up the YouTube video. I think it was on Better Bachelor's channel. It was on Better Bachelor's channel. I know XVY Jay-Z, he's gonna watch. He's like, Chris, I know your pro blickety black side is gonna come out. Nah, this is just me. Like I said, I gotta be more honest about these things, right? There's a lot of things that men in general complain about, and the warning signs were already there, right? You'll have, how about this here? I've been trying to warn ninjas in general about this thing where they think that switching from the American black woman to the American white woman, that's going to solve all your problems. Well, I said, look, with that kind of mentality, you could set yourself up to get played, because really the move is to not really be messing with American women in general. And if you are going to be with a woman that lives in America, you need to be with a woman that has parents that weren't raised in America. They have a different set of values. Because if you're gonna take on a woman that has American so-called values with parents that had American so-called values, you're gonna get played out here. You're basically gonna get destroyed. Right? So this is, like, obviously for the long term, it will be better for you to switch from American black to American white, but it's still going to end in destruction. It's still going to end. Unless if you completely bow down, it's going to literally end up in your little destruction. But let me bring up Better Bachelor's channel, if I can bring it up real quick. So right here, this is what I saw. Hold on. Why can I not share it? Okay, here we go.
Becoming so angry.
Right? So the stuff that he's talking about right here, and his comment, like the people in the comment section, like, ninjas was talking about this for decades now. Like I even saw somebody in the comments. I swear, look, dude, I swear on my family, I saw this in the comments. I swear I saw this in the comments. I saw one dude said, "Look, I'm just gonna be a criminal," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, what was it? Black men getting shtick, for not getting jobs and not looking hard enough for jobs and just relying on being moving to a life on crime because they can't find a decent paying job and all this stuff. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and now you're just saying, "Man, I'm just gonna be a scammer. I'm gonna be a criminal." What? I swear I saw that comment. I was like, "Bruh, come on." We can't be making comments like this, right? But this is what happens when you disenfranchise, especially when you're talking about when you're to break a country, to break an economy. You discourage the man, you discourage the men, you disempower them, and you block them from getting jobs. So there's a lot of that's why they make sure, the people talk about the people in HR, how they feel this energy of just rejection as soon as they get that interview with the HR lady and all this stuff. How HR ladies are not giving, the average white man a job, right? Which is true, by the way. But this is what people this is what a lot of other people have been complaining. This like this we've been talking about this, you know. I gotta let me see, because it was a lot of, yeah, basically if you look at the comment section, it's a lot of people saying this is white genocide. You know what I mean? This is genocide, and this is they're trying to erase white men from society. Um, I just think they're trying to erase men. They're trying to decrease the level of financial, options from men in general, especially when it comes to certain types of, higher paying jobs that are outside of the trades. That's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to block off certain positions, of those higher paying white collar jobs, and they're trying to make sure they try to get more women uh in those positions. But bottom line is they make sure what they do is they make sure that the younger men don't have the opportunity to really start off with a head start. And when men like that, when you disenfranchise young men from really getting a decent paying job, decent with decent wages and all this stuff, those are the men that are really supposed to start families and take care of others and all that. And so you have these people, they're not able to start families, so they're going to either just not have families or look elsewhere. Maybe they go move into a different country, they get an Asian wife, and then they start a family over there. You know what I mean? But that's why, like me personally, that's why I'm not a. I'm always a. I've always been an advocate of men not staying in one place. If you're not getting the results that you want when it comes to jobs or, um, you know, women and all this stuff, I'm always an advocate. Man, just move. Just move. If you stay in one place and you're not getting what you want, it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're just gonna still end up not getting what you want, especially if you just stay in one place. The more stagnant that you like, the more stagnant that you are, the least leverage that you end up. Eventually, you end up losing leverage. And I will say this, as young men in general, we can't have this. We can't have this thing where we're feeling entitled, right? So we live in a different era now, right? Women don't necessarily need men when it comes to finances. Technically they do, but they don't need us. I'll say they don't need us for now, right? They don't need us for now. They eventually they do need men, but they just don't need us for, just for the immediate future, right? So they don't technically need us, right? But that's not something that we should dwell on. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be wishing for the past to come back, or we just need to wait till the whole thing collapses and then they're gonna come right back to us. No, I want to still be able to enjoy my life. I don't want things to collapse and then just just so we can get women back into the kitchen. No, like I'm cool where I'm at. You know what I mean? As a man, you need to gain leverage for yourself. You can't just be waiting for the system to collapse so you can get women back in line. That's just not, in my opinion, that's not the winning move for me. The winning move, in my opinion, for men is men putting themselves first, putting their own interests first. And I believe when men do that, and you're already seeing that with men, they're just pulling out of the dating market. When men vote with their wallet, when men vote with their finances, they have to cater to us eventually, because for the long haul, it's our resources that they're going to need. It's our money. So when we pull out, we demonstrate our own leverage. When we're willing to leave, when we're willing, hey, man, fuck all this. We can start our own family in another country. When we start importing broads and all this stuff, then they have to cater to us. And even by the time that they want to cater to us, it doesn't matter. We've already found something better. We have the leverage. The trick is they make it seem like we don't, but really we have the leverage as men, because they need our resources. That's what they want. At the end of the day, they're only going to want they want our resources. They want our money. They want our attention. They want our time. They want us talking about them all the time. But shaming women into dating average dudes, or shaming women into going 50-50, I don't think that's the winning move. The winning move, in my opinion, is shit. I know something better. Look, we have the options. That's why even when it comes to the passport bros, I'm like, hey, shout out to y'all, because that's a strategy of demonstrating leverage in the dating market. Or when you have a man that will import his wife, whatever, that's a move of demonstrating leverage. This shit where we be in the comment section and it'll be like a white girl dating a black dude, and then we're trying to regulate that, or if it's a black woman trying to get a white dude, you got black dudes in there crying about that. All this nonsense where we're trying to, oh man, stop dating abusive dudes. Let them do what they need to do. We're gonna do what we need to do. That's just my opinion on that. But the more that we complain about these things, and I just it's a lack of demonstrating leverage and not really establishing yourself. So, for example, I'll say it like this. I'll say it like this. For example, I always said this: to demonstrate leverage or to get people to really set up the environment for you. I'm gonna give you two examples of my personal life. Right? I told you there was a time where I just cut off communication with one of the bands that I was in, and those 2 or 3 days where I cut off the communication, I wasn't texting nobody back. I wasn't, you know, calling anybody. I was, people were calling. I wasn't answering. The group realized, okay, we need to make changes. So, hey, bro, you the drummer? Nah. Let's bring in the drummer that Chris already knew that Chris already knows about, and the drummer that Chris was already recommended. Let's bring in this bass player that elite level talent. Everybody wants to play with this guy. They finally called back and they were like, look, we knew something was wrong. And they made all these changes because they knew I had a problem with the specific drummer that we had. They knew that. And then there was a very elite bass player that wanted to join in because I was in the group. So they made the necessary changes, and I stayed with the group for another, like, I think basically a whole other year because of that move. So that was me demonstrating leverage without me. I didn't even complain to nobody. I just stopped talking. I just pulled out. Second example that I'm going to give to you guys. Anytime I go into the studio, anytime I'm there, I'm telling you, it's funny. All the orgies stop. All the nonsense, the drugs basically go away. If they want to drink, they go outside because they know I'm there. Like, even just recently, I was at the studio and something, one of the guys got mad or something. They were like, whoa, not in front of Chris. let's not in front of Chris. Right. I don't have to say much, but they by my actions, by the way I act, there's a certain standard that I expect. So there's a certain way I do things. There's a certain result that I expect. So I'm gonna pull another power move. Watch this. In my next session, I'm gonna call the shots, and they're gonna listen. Trust me. I'm literally gonna be like, okay, the next. Mind you, I've never done this before, but they usually do things. They'll do things to accommodate me, and I don't even ask for it. But when you demonstrate by your actions, when you're consistent, they already know I don't be drinking, I don't be smoking, I don't be out up there flirting with the girls and all this nonsense. I just be there, I do my business, and I'm out. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull a move. I'm gonna say, look, my next session, I only want him, him, and him, and maybe her. But I just want him and him so we can get things done faster. And watch, it's gonna happen. I'm just telling you because I don't even make these kind of, I'm not gonna say demands. I don't ask for these type of things. I can work with I can work with anybody. I can work with anything. But when you demonstrate with your actions, you don't have to complain. You don't even have to talk about the situation. It'll just show. It'll just show. As soon as I turn up to the studio, people start acting right. As soon as they basically wait for me to leave so they can go right back to their debauchery. I know this. You know what I mean? So these are the things I think men need to do. You need to demonstrate with your actions. You need to be consistent about your actions. You can't like because they're so used to seeing dudes. What people are so used to seeing, especially when you're talking about a music environment, they're so used to, you know, people say, "Hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to, you're not doing this right, or you're not doing this that right." But then their personal life is a wreck. They're reckless. They're a drunk. They're loud. They're a druggie, et cetera, et cetera. So people don't really take what they have to say seriously. But as soon as I come in, I'm legit. Got skills. I can do things. I'm as clean cut as they get. I don't judge anybody for what they do, but I'm as clean cut as they get. They don't. They you know what I mean. Where they don't see me where. Okay, I'm saying no to this drink from this guy, but yeah, I'm saying yes to this smoke from this. They don't. They see me down the line. I'll do none of that. I'm good. They see me treat everybody respectfully. You know, so they make sure even if they have a problem or they start something happens, they're like, no, don't do that shit in front of Chris. You know, but that's just my opinion on that. I think we should do less complaining and more demonstrating. That's just my opinion. But anyways, it's about 11:45. About to shut this bad boy down. Thank you, Pyro, for the $2 super chat. My next show, hopefully I can do an actual topic. I'm going to save the Corey thing. I'm probably not even gonna come back to that interview because I don't want to come across as I don't want this to be a Corey Holcomb fan page. I still want to keep things original and things like that. So I gotta check myself on my I gotta check myself on my objectivity and make sure I gotta keep it balanced. Right. So I gotta do that. Oh, we'll I know what's trending right now. I know people are talking about people are talking about Chud the Builder and Carmelo Anthony. Look, when it comes to Chud the Builder, the Carmelo Anthony situation, I think I talked about that with you guys. So we'll talk about Carmelo Anthony another time. We'll talk about him another time. I remember the last time I talked to you about this, I was trying to tell people like it's really an unfortunate situation, and it sucks that people are making this about race, where it's simply this was just a situation where two big football players thought that they could bully a dude that was a little bit smaller than them. It wasn't even it's not about race. It's just they were some big dudes. They thought they could impose their will on a smaller dude, but one of those, unfortunately, you got one of them nerd dudes. You never know when you never know when they're gonna snap. You never know when they're just gonna be like, enough is enough. I'm not gonna take shit no more. One of my most famous shorts that I've done on my channel, I I titled it "Life-Saving Advice for Tall People or Bigger People." I told y'all, if you are a taller person or a bigger person and a significantly smaller person is squaring up to you, they have a weapon. Either their fighting skills are cold or they got a weapon. So please be careful. Right? But that was just, some wisdom I try to put out there, it is what it is on that. But that's always been my opinion about the Carmelo Anthony situation. But unfortunately, the media, they blew up this story because it's a black boy. white boy. They know it's going to gain traction in the media. The race hustlers are going to make the most of this. The reality is, it was just two big football players. They thought they could bully a kid, and the kid took it too far. And unfortunately, a life was lost over this. And this could have been stopped. Clearly, there was no parental supervision. This is why you need parental supervision to watch over young boys, because stuff like this happens with young boys all the time. And then also, number two, I made this point about the Carmelo Anthony situation. I said this. I said, if this was a black boy that stabbed another black boy over some nonsensical things like this would not be a story. If this was a white dude, a white boy stabbing another white boy over this same exact situation, it would not be a story. But they're blowing this up so they can see what you know how these news, you know how the media is. These are the stories. They love stories like that because it's clicks. It's all about the clicks. It's all about the engagement. It's all about the traffic. It captures the normies' attention, but there's really nothing to this story. But unfortunately, they're going to make this a big deal. Whatever the result of this case is going to be, they're going to make it a big deal. And unfortunately, there's no win. In my opinion, there's no win in this case. Whether he's found innocent or guilty, there's no win. If he's found innocent, there's gonna be a lot of niggas that get hurt off of this off of the guilty innocent verdict. And if he's guilty, it's still gonna be a lot of niggas get hurt off the verdict. You know, it's just an unfortunate situation, but they've taken over. The media has done its thing like they usually do. They've polarized. What's the term? They've really put a spotlight on this case, and we know a little bit too much about the case now. So it's just ridiculous. Like shit like this be happening in high schools all the time. Or you'll have you'll have these white dudes, they'll snap, and then they'll shoot up the school. And I used to tell people, I'm like, we're living in a different time now. Now you have a situation where you'll have a black kid who will go on a stabbing spree or a shooting spree if he gets pushed too far. This is not something where we can just attribute this to white boys and all these things. Oh, they just no. This is a different time, man. This is a different time. These were two big dudes that felt confident in their, I can remove this small dude from my tent. They thought they could just do whatever they want with the boy because he was smaller than them. If Carmelo Anthony was 6'4", 2 something, they would have been kissing his ass in the tent. Believe it or not. That's what I'll tell. This is not like this whole thing that they're trying to make it about race. That's what the media is doing. They're doing their thing, Unfortunately, those two boys, they came in, they tried to bully the dude. They bullied the wrong dude. That's what happened. And boys go through stuff like this all the time. This shit like this happens all the time. It just doesn't turn into a stabbing, a stab straight to the chest. It just doesn't turn into that. But that's what it turned into, That's how I see the case. And now that apparently they got a video now the two witnesses have come forward and said that Austin Metcalf was the initial aggressor. I'm not surprised. It's to me, the case is simple. Metcalf and his brother shouldn't have been aggressive towards Carmelo, and Carmelo clearly shouldn't have stabbed the dude in the chest. So I don't know what punishment will come of that. It's just a tragic story. Just a tragic story. But anyways, Young Doka says Chris got motion in the studio. No, I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna because there's something happened earlier this week where I'm like, nah, we need to get more songs done. Like, and I just know me personally. I know if it's me and the specific engineer, if it's just us in the studio, I know we can get like 6 songs done. Literally like 6 references done. And maybe a guitarist, maybe really any guitarist, you know. And then I'll just take care of the keys, the bass, and all the other sounds. And have the engineer take care of the drums or whatever drum machine he wants to use and all these things. I know if it's just me and that engineer, we can get 3 or 4, 5 songs done. I'm not even exaggerating. But the problem is, and I just hope people don't take offense to that, this sometimes there can be too many cooks in one room, right? Or you'll have certain people come in and they just take too long musically to get certain things. Which like something that should literally be done like in 10 seconds, it ends up turning into 2 hours because they can't understand just something simple, something very simple. And I get easily frustrated, or not necessarily not frustrated. I get easily annoyed. So when I get easily annoyed, I'll just basically back away and just be like, whatever. The reason why I am that way, the reason why I tend to get these things a little bit faster, because when I was young, I didn't have the luxury of being able to figure things out. If I didn't figure things out, I would get kicked off. You know, I didn't really have much room to really make mistakes when it comes to these things, right? And I'll say if there's any musicians in the chat, I'll say this to save you guys some times. Don't think in chords, right? Don't really, oh man, what's this chord? What's this? No. Think in progressions, think in numbers. Don't even, people talk about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. No. Think in numbers. It will save you a bunch of time. It will save you so much time. Right? Understand the basics. If you're playing with, if you're a guitar player, right, and you know there's going to be 2 other instruments with you, or how about this? Let's keep it simple. Yeah, if you're a guitar player, you're a piano player, and you know you're going to be playing with a bass player, it's probably best that you don't play on the low end, play on the high end, work on your voicings on the high end, understand your progressions, so you're not muddying that space with the bass. Because when it's time to incorporate the bass, it's going to be hard distinguishing between your low end and the bass, or if the bass player is trying to figure out his progression, he's not going to be able to figure out himself. These are like things that, like, if I was to give advice to people that are working in the studio or just musicians in general, these are the things that I would tell them. Think in numbers, think in progressions. Don't always think in chords. If you're thinking in chords, you're going to tire yourself out. You should already know your chords. You should already know your chords. You need to be thinking in progressions. You need to be thinking in numbers. But that's just me, right? But this is why because I always think in progressions, I think in numbers. I already know the chords. This is why it's just like, it's really simple to me, right? But these people, unfortunately, certain people I'll be, I'm forced to work with, they take way too long to figure out something very simple. Like, they want me to name the exact chord that I play. I'm like, it really doesn't matter. You need to already know where I'm at. So it's not even a matter of the chord that I'm playing. You should kind of already know the progression that I'm playing. If you know the progression that I'm playing, you'll be able to find out your own voicings to complement that progression. Sometimes you don't even need the chords yourself. You can figure out something else to match my progression. But people just, they're unfortunately when they are dealing with a decent musician, it's almost like people tend to get lazy when certain people that are good at these things, they tend to get lazy and like, okay, I'll just let him tell me what to play. No. Figure it out. That's not my job. Right. But anyways, let me sign off before I get myself mad. Oh man. But I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna see if Broski will accommodate me on my request. I'm just gonna ask, look, it needs to be just me and you and maybe one other person. And then we will make 3 or 4 tracks that night because we spent too long on one fucking track because one dude could not figure out literally 1 + 1 = 2. We can't do that. Like I remember when I was younger, like when I was younger, when I was 20, I was struggling in the because I was with that's when I was with my cousin at the time. I was trying to learn how to use a DAW, and he was working with somebody at the time. And because I was taking too long, the guy just left. Mind you, I was 20, and it was just taking me 20 to 30 extra, just literally 20 to 30 extra minutes to learn something simple, how to move, to work around the DAW, a DAW that I never used before. And he just left. But some people, for some reason, they get the luxury of like spending 3 to 4 hours to figure out a simple bass line. Like, bruh, we don't have that kind of time. Oh man. Pyro says, man, learning chords is difficult, but in terms of, it's just vocabulary. Chords is just vocabulary, right? Really, people should be thinking in progressions and numbers. You see, when those you ever hear those musicians, in church, they'd be like 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're saying, when they're saying 3, 4, 5, 6, that's a chord progression. 3, 4, 5, 6, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, right? So, for example, you're in a D major. The 4 chord is G major. The 5 is A. The 6 is B. The 1 is D. A sharp 1 or a flat 2. That's it. D sharp, right? It needs to be that got to be automatic. That's got to be automatic, right? But unfortunately, when the progressions, I'm so used to hearing all types of progressions, so I already can identify the progression just by hearing it. But for some reason, once people hear a certain progression that they've never heard before, they're asking me what chords are there. I'm like, no, you're wasting my time asking me the chords because we're gonna spend 20 hours finding it. No. Find out the progression. Once you find out the number, you should be able to match it. And you can actually find something else to complement you. If I'm telling you the chords that I'm playing, there's really no point in you being there. Right. But I can't tell these people that, like, that would just be mean. Honestly, that would just be mean. But I don't got time for that shit, bro. I really don't have time for that. Because really, I should be able to play the chords and you should already know what I'm playing. It should already be like, oh, he's playing this, boom, boom, boom. But a lot of people, they're lazy. They don't want to put in the work to understand the basics, and they'll realize everything that I'm doing is very simple. But anyways, Ellis is here, says, don't get mad, just get some counseling from Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Like, or I'll work with some people, right? Like, I'm probably gonna hopefully I don't get kicked out of my band, but there's a couple, like, past couple of rehearsals, I just haven't showed up. Only because we're playing the same songs, and then on top of that, they will tell me to learn a song. I learned a song, nobody else learns the song. So there's no point. There's no point in me just Like, if we're gonna learn, are we actually gonna learn some new music? And trust me, like we could do it, but it's just gonna Lou. We could, I can make 3 tracks in one day. It's not that hard. But I just need an engineer to work the DAW, and then I need maybe a bass player. Maybe I most likely won't even need a bass player. So I'll say a guitar player. That's it. That's it. Or first of all, a competent guitar player where I don't have to tell the person what the chords are, because a smart guitar player will understand he's not supposed to be playing the same thing that I'm playing as a keyboard player. You're supposed to be coming up with your own thing that complements what I'm playing. Or if you're taking the lead as the guitar player, I'm supposed to be complementing what you're doing. But these are just basics, but they take way too long with these things. So I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna ask my boy, look, I just want it to be you and somebody else. If not, I'm not gonna show up, because I'm not gonna be in there. I'm not trying to stay in this 4 hours. I'm not doing no, not gonna do that. Pyro says Chris is going to be pissed at me for messing up the bass guitar. No, what I would be pissed is if, like, because there's certain people, they don't have the awareness to step back and say, look, I can't do this. I'm gonna let somebody else figure this out, right? Or be humble enough to be like, how about this, Chris? You come up with the bass line. I'll play the bass line you tell me to do, right? But there's some people, they're just not aware enough to be like, bro, you're messing up the whole session because you can't figure out something so simple, right? No disrespect to whomever that this may concern, right? You'll have, like, the other day I did a pickup game in New York this week. And one of the guys, I had respect for one of the guys that I was playing against, because they were rotating the goalkeepers, right? So they gave everybody a chance to be a goalkeeper, so not one person was in goal the whole time. And one of the guys on the opposing team, he tried to play in the field, and he was just messing up. So he was like, you know what? Let me just stay in goal because I'm not doing anything else well. I can't have this other person stay in goalie, and he's our best attacking player. Let me switch with you. I'm gonna stay there the whole time. Most Americans, when they play soccer, they're too prideful. So you'll have dudes that really should be playing defense, or they should be playing goalie, but they're too prideful to step back and let the actual players that can attack, or the most creative players, let them do the attacking. Unfortunately, too many American soccer players are prideful, and they just won't do that. They won't step back and play their role and let the actual talent shine. It's too much of that, right? They won't take a step back. Like, I'll be dribbling, and I'll be like, bro, trust me, like, just give me the ball. I got it. Especially, you're talking about a 5v5. That's easy work. But these dudes will not have the awareness to give me space. You know what I mean? It takes them 20 years to pass a ball. Just in general, I'm not talking about to me. I'm just in general. These guys will be taking the ball out and then taking 20 years to pass a pass it. But just pass it to the nearest person and keep the ball in play. Right? Just basics. it takes them way too long for them to realize a lot of the times that, dude, just give it to your most creative player and let him cook, right? It's all you need to do. All you need to do. Identify what player does what and have them be at the positions that they need to be. And when you're doing a 5v5 anyways, everybody should be naturally rotating. But, you know, a lot of people, they just don't have that kind of game sense. But anyways, it's 12:10. I should have been signed out. I went on an unnecessary rant. But anyway, shout out to you guys, man. Thank you, Pyro, for the $2 super chat. We'll talk about this another time. We'll come up with we'll have another topic very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. But anyways, let me play this video on the way out. Shout out to you guys, man. Take care.
But the reason I know that you're guarded is because when I was in high school, I only dated drug dealers.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, that's where I was. I lived in South Central LA. That's what it was.
Wow. I would have never thought that.
Really?
Nah.